If you're dealing with art block, it probably sucks because you've tried watching different videos and yet you're still struggling, which is likely why you're here. And I think this video might help you a lot because it genuinely comes from someone who's been dealing with art block for over 6 years, and I'm finally getting a hang of it. So, what is art block? Art block, also called creative block, is a mental barrier that basically prevents you from, generating new ideas, producing new artwork, and you can kind of think about it as a period of stagnation where there is no inspiration, there's lots of motivation, or you do have all those things, but you can't just focus or follow through with an idea or execute an idea to completion. Common causes of art block include burnout and stress. Another thing that people don't think about too much is perfectionism. If you have this, you already know, which is kind of the fear of creating bad art. Now, another new thing, which I think is relatively new, is probably performance anxiety. Performance anxiety only occurs when there's an audience, when there's an audience to present your artwork to. So instead of enjoyment or genuinely being lost in your artwork, you are constantly probably thinking about likes, how it goes on social media, and sometimes a combination of all of this together just depletes into your inspiration source because you're overwhelmed with too many conflicting options. So to overcome art block, you want to ask yourself a couple questions. Some of them come in bundles, however way you see it, but I want to promise you that you're not going to deal with it in a blink. You need to take care of yourself, and that's how you're going to deal with it. And you take care of yourself by asking this question. The first question is, am I burnt out? Or why am I burnt out? Okay, think about that for a second. The second question is, what is stressing you out? What is stressing me out? Okay, now they can be intertwined, but let's not go deep into that. Now, the third question is, okay, if you have all of this, or maybe you don't, are you being a perfectionist? Are you being a perfectionist? Yes or no? Think about it. And if not, oh well, do I have any traces of performance anxiety? I'm gonna share my story in a little bit so you can help you understand that. But let's talk about one other thing. So you might be thinking, well, I think mine is an inspiration issue. I think you should focus on the four questions that I presented initially. Because my base case is if you're watching this video right now, interested in this topic, and you are already motivated in some way, looking at ideas, liking them, there's some form of motivation because you're trying to get back at something. Another thing we want to look at is maybe we can boil everything down to performance anxiety in some sense because social media is a really, really integral part of our lives right now, relatively new to the human brain. So the general theme of the questions we need to ask ourselves is mostly why. Okay? Now, this is where it gets interesting. I'm going to share a personal story in hopes that it helps you visualize and see things for yourself. And I also want to quickly mention that if you look at my channel, you can go to my channel and see my different artworks and see how I overcome art block or overcame art block or I'm still going through art block in the way I've changed my character in a little bit. My drawing style is experimentation, so my channel is kind of like a diary proof on how I'm improving my artwork. So if you want to join me on this journey, you can hit the quote-unquote subscribe button. I hate that word. Whatever. So why was I burnt out? I wasn't necessarily burnt out. In fact, I used to draw for hours and I would just keep drawing and enjoying the craft. And this translated to school where I'll be recognized for my craft, which is really nice. Made a ton of friends doing that, even made some money doing that. But that was really nice. Okay, so you got to understand, was there a time in your life you enjoyed this? And what conditions did you enjoy that? Now, you should do this because while asking myself why, I realized my art block stemmed from a specific belief that I started to see drawing as a waste of time. Anytime I wanted to draw, I feel like I should be doing something else. And this kept going on until I recognized it. But why did this change? And why did this happen in the first place? What's my story? Well, it happened because the people around me that I looked up to feared that pursuing art would lead to some form of financial struggle in the future. So, while they never objected to some problem-solving parts like coding, my true passion was always somehow connected partly with visual art. That's why I ended up working as a graphic designer, doing some web design and all of that stuff. So in some form it translated to something else, but never to the art. And that's what I want to get better at. Two, your environment. Because of the environment that I had where I was getting fed with all of these things where, oh, you can't draw, it's a bad direction. Separating yourself or creating an environment for yourself where you thrive is a second solution. Now, it can be difficult to get away and create an environment for yourself because some of the environments you find yourself most of the time might be an online arts community. And for me, finding the online arts community at the time was not the right environment because I kept getting fed the toxic parts of art, which was very exhausting because it just felt like a room with a bunch of teenagers just talking shit about each other and creating unnecessary rules and conflict. So you might want to review this environment you are socially or online to see if they're actually helping you get to where you want and not just getting stuck with so many rules that conflict in each other. Finally, if you can't change your environment immediately, you need to distance yourself slowly. Now, during that time, focus on making something you genuinely care about. Right now, I kind of like creating crazy show titles, crazy show names, personally, but just locking in something that you kind of are interested in and don't care. I'll show you an example. Now, if you take a look at my channel, you can see all my previous shows. You can see that I've changed my character a lot. And I think I've found it in a place right now that I really like. And that leads to actually, if you have any skill to leverage for something else, please do that. Right now, I have various tools that I've created myself to help me. I thought since I'm a software developer, I can use code to solve these problems. I've created a tool that allows me to work with my 2D characters to just, mimic me while I'm talking. I also have a production studio that works for me to allow me to write, and I know it's my software, so I make it for myself to do all the things. And Blender. If you want me to talk about all this, I might talk about it later, but for now, this video is all about you recognizing that. So what are all the things we've talked about? We've talked about understanding the why, and that comes in various forms. We've talked about leveraging your skills to kind of create the environment you want, and we've talked about leaving environments that do not serve you. Okay? Hopefully, this is the first step in many steps that allows you to get to a place you want to be. And remember, you're not going to get there in one blink of an eye. It's going to be a journey and you will definitely love it. I cannot believe that I already have my own characters that I do love, and I'm still trying to improve on those specific characters. It's really crazy if you ask me. A couple years ago, if I would get to this stage, I would be like, no. So, welcome, stay if you want, and see you later, or maybe not. Bye.